Hey everybody, welcome to WCA Extra. This is our live desk streaming show, kicking off every day around 9:15. A few minutes late today, had to get some tech stuff figured out. But that in mind, we are today we're talking about an expansion plan or hopes of a plan, I guess, for Rhino Foods. It's a food distributor in the Burlington area, and no better person to talk about that than our Calvin Cutler. So Calvin, first things first. Good morning. I see you're working from the road this morning.
Yeah, good morning,
Yeah.
John. Thank you very much for having me, as always.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here. So diving right into it, Rhino Foods. First things first. For anybody who's unfamiliar, with these guys, what do they make there at their plant?
Yeah, so Rhino Foods is a food manufacturing and
Yeah.
distribution plant. They are most well known for desserts, cookies.
Yeah.
If you've ever had Ben and Jerry's or other flavors of ice cream, they'll make those little sweet bits
Yeah.
of
Yeah. Yeah.
cookie dough and brownies and other things. So their products are well liked and are in a lot of food that's shipped regionally, but also nationally and internationally as well. And I think it's important to point out too that if you just Google Rhino Foods, they're what's known as a certified B corporation, where they do all of their business standards to certain ethical standards. They're well known in the community for being, socially friendly, trying to be environmentally conscious, that is, hiring, refugees, new Americans, English language learners, people in recovery. So they're a really important employer in the community.
Yeah.
And right now they employ about 200 people.
Yeah. And with that in mind too, they've been looking to expand for years, and they finally get to do so. And something that you've covered, a lot of us have covered extensively here, Act 250. How is that playing into this expansion now?
Yeah, so it was last summer they got a permit basically from the city of Burlington to expand by about 65,000 feet to build a new facility on their plant in the south end of Burlington. Essentially, what it would do, it would take the plant that's in Williston and close that and consolidate it all into one location in South Burlington. That way, they wouldn't have to send as many trucks back and forth, and the logistics would be a lot easier. So last year they won a permit from the city, and over the last year, especially this past summer as well, they've been applied for a Act 250 permit, which is, of course, the state's land use signature land use law, now 53, 54 years old. And just late last week, the Natural Resources Board gave them the thumbs up, allowing them to move forward with their Act 250 application, but with some stipulations to accommodate for nearby neighbors.
Yeah, and you just touched it on the last point there. Obviously for the company, it's great news for them, but for nearby residents, for where this is going into, what are they saying? And what are some of those concerns that they have? As they could get busier nearby.
Yeah, I mean, if you look on a map, where Rhino Foods where they're located now and where they're proposed to expand, there's a thin layer of trees, and then there's Red Rock Drive, and there's numerous condos, there's houses, there's lots of people that live back there. And even in recent years, even before the expansion, there's been concerns about the noise, concerns about low frequency vibrations from the trucks backing up, running of the cooling and manufacturing equipment. And they're worried that this expansion will mean even more disruptions and even more noise. And so that's the neighbor's biggest concern. And also in the wintertime, when there's leaves aren't on the trees, people have lights flashing in their backyard and that type of thing. And so there was actually even a petition, or two separate petitions. That is, one of them asking Rhino to use electric trucks that are more quiet, and that garnered about 80 signatures. And then there was another petition asking them to keep their noise levels below what the World Health Organization deems as unhealthy,
Yeah.
And that's 55 decibels. And so there were as I mentioned, some stipulations from the Natural Resources Board in their permit approval, but the neighbors, they say that they want to be good neighbors and they want to allow this project to continue, but they'd like to see Rhino do a little more in terms of noise mitigation.
Yeah, so I guess my last point here is, where could this go in the sense of, you think that will be delayed in any sense like that if, if those, especially concerned with the noise that goes through?
Yeah, I mean, I think it really remains to be seen, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we're still in the fall. There's still leaves on the trees, so we'll see sort of what steps that have been taken, if any, will satisfy nearby neighbors. As I mentioned, the trucks will only be running during certain hours.
Yeah.
They're getting rid of the alarms when you back up a truck that beep beep
Yes.
beep.
Yes.
Like, so they're discontinuing those. Also, some of like the equipment
Idling.
that would have been located on the west side of the building, they're going to either put it on the east side or maybe the south side, so it's not directly facing the neighbors.
Yeah.
So we'll see where it goes, and and there's also going to be noise monitoring as well.
Right.
Similar like what we saw with the F-35s and things like that, although not to the same degree. But so we'll see in the coming months. The neighbors have not said whether they will or won't appeal this. I mean, they certainly could appeal this Act 250 permit, but at least as of right now, it is. Rhino Foods has gotten the green light. The management at the company says this is going to be a really big benefit for the Burlington area in multiple different ways. It's going to allow them to hire anywhere from 40 to 50 people, they said in their Act 250 application. But we'll have to see where it goes from here. I think a lot of it's going to depend on, what will happen this winter when sound travels further, when, if and when construction starts, that type of thing.
No, absolutely. And it sounds like, they're just trying to play ball there too. So, but with that in mind, Calvin, thanks so much. And of course, to your point in the last part, we'll be looking forward to the follow up with this if and when something happens. But yeah, Calvin, thanks so much for shedding some light on this. Of course, I know you're heading on the road, so I'll let you go. But we'll play that in a sec. And thanks for coming by.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, John. Have a great day.
See ya. Again, that was our Calvin Cutler there. Just kind of shed some light on some expansion of a Burlington food distributor, Rhino Foods, and kind of what that entails and how that ties into Vermont's land use law, Act 250. Of course, he will do a much better explanation than I'm doing right now. So we'll dive into that.
Rhino has been trying to expand its business with a 65,000 square foot addition, complete with new access, parking, and stormwater. It would consolidate their Burlington and Williston facilities and cut back on the fuel that their trucks use. The Certified B Corporation, which employs around 200 people, has been lauded in the community for being accepting, hiring refugees, new Americans, and people in recovery. And late last week, the State Natural Resources Board approved Rhino's Act 250 application, meaning the project can proceed. In a statement, Rhino Foods founder Ted Castle tells us, "We're pleased the Natural Resources Board approved our expansion project. We believe this will have a positive impact on the Burlington community from numerous perspectives." Well, this expansion paves the way for Rhino to expand its workforce by about 40 positions. But still, some neighbors remained concerned about the impact.
We serve as a buffer for the rest of the neighborhood, and it's a little bit unfair in that regard.
Nearby residents on Red Rock Drive say they want to be good neighbors, but still have concerns about noise from the trucks and from the new facility facing west toward the neighborhood. Over 100 neighbors signed on to a petition last year, urging Rhino to work to mitigate its noise levels below the World Health Organization's levels of 55 decibels.
This is a residential area here, zoned residentially. There is light industrial. I don't think there's any hard, fast definitions to differentiate between industrial and light industrial.
Under its permit, Rhino trucks will be required to mitigate noise, including eliminating backup alarms, shutting engines off while idling, and relocating some equipment. But in an Act 250 filing in response to the noise concerns, Rhino says other industrial sites in the area are contributing to the noise, and add their addition is projected to reduce noise. Neighbors say they're still determining their next move, but add they like to see Rhino take additional steps to address the problem. Reporting in Burlington, Calvin Cutler, Channel 3 News.
Again, that was a story by our Calvin Cutler talking about, again, some expansions to Rhino Food. As you can notice, Peter not here. He's been pulled away to a meeting, and so you can see that full weather forecast, of course, on our Channel 3 newscast at noon, of course, on our website, WCAX.com, under the weather tab. I can't really shed too much light on the weather. I think it's going to clear up relatively towards the end of the week compared to today. But if you want a more in-depth forecast, of course, you can see Peter again at noon. All of our stories on WCAX.com. That in mind, they go a little early today, and we'll see you in a couple hours.